Okay, so a report um, has come out for GameStop. Their quarterly earnings call um, took place recently, and their sales have dropped a total of 4.3%, and hardware sales have dropped 28.8%. That's a big number. Even if you don't understand sales numbers, that's a large portion of sales. Um, and apparently, GameStop is basically attributing that to just a weaker slate of releases in the first quarter of 2016. We've been talking about Doom and Uncharted 4. While those are hit games, they released before, or I'm sorry, after March 30th. So they're not included in the January, February, March period. Um, so yeah, and this is also very typical for this time of the year. When after the holidays are over, you might get a major game release in February, but usually just one, and things don't really start picking up until you know we get closer to the summertime, and then we have another slump in the summer, and then we have the holiday rush. That's usually how things happen. But the company was selling games like Grand Theft Auto 5 on PC because that had just launched at the same time this year, Mortal Kombat 10, and Battlefield Hardline. And that's basically what they're saying. That's the reason why they had better sales last year. They've also closed all of their Puerto Rico stores, and that's because Puerto Rico is going through a financial crisis all of its own. Um, and they have also purchased ThinkGeek, um, and they plan to expand those stores as well. So here's what they're hoping. They are hoping that the NX, if it is as successful, um, if it's even as half as successful as the Nintendo Wii, the original, um, the NX market could be worth $7.5 billion for them. So they're definitely looking forward to some new hardware coming out from Nintendo. Um, and yeah, so they kind of had a rough quarter though. So GameStop, they have physical stores. They're really the only dedicated gaming physical store around for the most part, aside from maybe small chains here and there. Um, but and um, they have changed what they sell a little bit. They've moved into you know used mobile devices. They've been they've actually brought physical. They worked out a deal with Steam for the Steam machines. They had a section of their stores dedicated to just being about Steam, which is kind of interesting. Um, but yeah, so a couple questions here. Can GameStop keep their physical stores open indefinitely? What are your thoughts on that?
I think yeah. Like a lot of gamers, I guess, are probably introverted and just speaking for myself, generally I don't like talking to most people, so going to stores has always just kind of been like a hassle for me, unless I know someone in that store or I know exactly what I want. Going into places and just getting things has always just been like a feeling for me. But I've honestly never felt that way about going into a GameStop before. In fact, I like going into GameStops because I can interact with the employees there because unlike other places like Target, Walmart, Kroger, I actually, share an interest with these people. And these people also like they talk back to you about their how they feel about games, how they feel about the consoles. They get excited too because they're also into this. They're gamers too. And I just like interacting with people from GameStop. And I feel like there's a lot of people that also like to do that. And there's just something about talking to a person also that's just like it's good for you. Like even if you're introverted, you need to talk to people. And what better way to talk to the person who knows the probably more information about the video game that you want to get than the person who's selling it to you and also plays video games for a living. So I think right now it's really just kind of like you said, a seasonal thing. Things will probably pick up um, in the winter season again, or when the NX comes out. Um, I don't think they should have too much to worry about.
Yeah, probably not. There was also some news that came out a couple weeks ago as well about them getting into game publishing. Um, so I think that I'm pretty sure if that is successful, then they can keep their stores open for quite a while. Um, with the exception of them and Best Buy and Walmart, there really aren't physical stores to go and pick a game up. And as much as all of the analysts have been saying, oh, we think digital sales are going to be the thing that really puts GameStop under, or yeah, digital sales, uh, it hasn't really moved that in that direction as aggressively as these analysts have been saying. Um, I think GameStop, no one knows. I don't think that they've been basically staving off bankruptcy or anything like that. They've been able to keep their doors open. They've been able to do fairly well. I think when they do things like, become a merchant for buying and selling used mobile devices, sure, that fits right in to their business model as it is. So I don't think that that's any sign of them struggling for sales. Um, Now, personally, GameStop has done some things that have been not so great. Um, just a couple of things that I'm thinking of off the top of my head. When Xenoblade Chronicles came out, you already know where I'm going with this, don't you?
Yep.
So when GameStop Chronicles, why not? Why not just call it that? Xenoblade Chronicles, when that game came out, I want to say it was actually published by GameStop. That was I don't know if it was their first, but I know that was very uncommon. But it was nonetheless a GameStop exclusive. That game would not have come out in North America without them. So for that, I'm grateful. However, since it was exclusively available in their stores, it didn't really take very long. I want to say maybe 3-4 months or so. And what they were doing, see, there's a rule that you cannot sell something higher than retail price. I don't know if it's a law. I just know that if a game comes out at a $49.99 MSRP, you can't sell it for $80. There is a workaround, though. GameStop buys and sells used games. That is how they stay in business, because when you go to GameStop and if you purchase a brand new game, the store itself is only getting a couple of bucks off of that transaction. They make a little bit more off of hardware sales, but even then, it's still not much. That's actually how they've been able to stay in business for as long as they have. They buy or use games that, yeah, you want to sell that Madden for $1.50? Sure, we'll turn it around and sell it for 20. I mean, I don't mind that part. I don't sell my games to GameStop because personally, I think it's a ripoff, but I don't have a problem with that business model. What I have a problem with is when They took copies, brand new copies of Xenoblade Chronicles. They went ahead and opened up the plastic seal. Well, now you no longer have a brand new game. You now have a used game that we're going to turn around and we're going to sell for whatever we want to, because it's now a used game and we're not governed by the $49.99 retail price anymore. And they sure enough did sell those games for $90 used when they were brand new. Now, this is why I'm glad that I live in the era of the internet, because word got around about this. Gamers got upset because this was a game that, while yes, GameStop brought it over, they wouldn't have done so without the support of the gaming community. Gamers came out, they were upset, they let GameStop know, this is so crooked what you're doing. You are price gouging right now. And they went ahead, and it didn't last very long, and they went ahead and they lowered the prices back down. And that's when I picked up my copy of the game. It was still, $50 for a used copy, and then when you open it up, there's no smudges, no scratches, there's nothing on the disc to imply that it's used. But they did that.
Not to mention that for a while, like, you could hardly find that game, and GameStop had just like huge storage buildings just stacked with them. Like, there were plenty to spare, and they had like 3 of them on the rack.
Yeah. They were basically creating demand by not meeting supply.
Yeah.
Which they could then turn around and say, well, this is why we have the game for $90, because everybody wants it. There was that. For the life of me, I am not thinking of the. Oh yeah, now it comes to me. The dumpster dives that people have famously put on YouTube and said, hey, I've got this, copy of this game, I've got this accessory. I have an issue when they take the game disc and they do something called cutting, where they basically will just take a knife and flip the disc around so that it's on the data side, and they'll just scratch it so that the game cannot be read. You are destroying a video game for no other reason other than to prevent people from picking it up from your dumpsters. They do this with strategy guides. If they basically don't carry strategy guides for any game that's like 6 months old or older, and they destroy them. They rip the covers off. Sometimes they'll rip other pages off or out of them just to make sure that they're not worth anything. If they get something like a gaming headset or a corded controller, they will cut the cables if they can't sell that. And I have no words to justify this with, other than you're trying to stick it to the guy who might be dumpster diving. And okay, there's a lot to be said for, is that ethical? And that's another conversation for another day. But okay, if you're going to get rid of this stuff, don't destroy it. I mean, this is such a waste to get rid of stuff like this.
Yeah.
Put it in a warehouse, or if you don't want it taking up the space, donate it to some place. Like, there's so many places, not just in the US, but in the world, where you can donate this to. Our soldiers, for heaven's sake, give it to our guys in the Army and the Navy and the Air Force that are deployed overseas, and do something for them. This doesn't make any sense to me, other than, oh, well, you don't like dumpster divers, so
If we can't make a profit off of it, then you can't.
yeah, then no one will.
Yeah.
And And then there was recently the video of someone basically going in, getting an Xbox 360 version the of Grand Theft Auto 5 from the dumpster, then turning around and selling it back to the GameStop store. I haven't watched the video. I've been told those guys were, um, you know, not the most well behaved, and they were kind of being jerks about it. But at the same time, that it's such a waste to see good games, even games that I don't like or I don't play. I don't want to see anything gaming related destroyed. So that's a thumbs down in my book. GameStop.